Good morning, kindergarten. This is Miss Preston with our math video for Tuesday, May 26th. Today we will be decomposing teen numbers and comparing teen numbers. And what does that mean to compare teen numbers? That means that we will see which set has fewer circles in teen numbers. So we want to see what has more and what has fewer numbers of circles. Today, you will complete lesson 22 problem set and upload that to your portfolio page. Before we begin, we're going to do a review on say 10 to 20 and a review of number sentences of teen numbers, of composing. Remember, composing means putting together. Addition and decomposing means breaking apart, which is subtraction. So we are going to practice our say 10 way from 10 to 20. We will review and then I will have you practice quickly. So I will say it, you will repeat it. 10, 10, 1, 10, 2, 10, 3, 10, 4, 10, 5, 10, 6, 10, 7, 10, 8, 10, 9, 2, 10. Can you remind me why we say the say 10 way? Why is it helpful to say our say 10 way? Great, because it tells us how we break up each number. 10, 2, or 12. We know we can break up 12 into 10 ones and 2 ones. Remember, whenever we decompose a number, make sure we are breaking it into 10 ones and some ones, meaning 10 ones and 2 ones for 12. For 14, it would be 10 ones and 4 ones for 14, because we know 14 can be broken up into 10 ones and 4 ones. Okay, can you go through and say our say 10 way? I'm going to point to each number and you will say it the say 10 way. This one is just 10. Here we go. Great, 10, 1, 10, 2, 10, 3. Good, 10, 4, 10, 5. Great, 10, 6, 10, 7, 10, 8, 10, 9, 2, 10. Remember, we say 20 to tens because there are 2 groups of 10 in 20. All right, let's look over at our number sentences. We have an addition sentence for each teen number. We have 14, 19, 16, and 15. I want us to figure out what numbers will go in the missing spots. All right, let's start with 14. We need to figure out how we compose the number 14. Remember, think of our say 10 way. We will always use 10 ones and some ones. Can you please shout out the number that will go in this first spot? 10. Great job, because I have 10 ones plus how many ones? 4. 4 ones. I know that 10 plus 4 equals 14. 10 ones plus 4 ones equals 14. Great job. Okay, let's go to 19. What will go in this first spot here? Please shout out the number that will go in this first spot. 10, because I have 10 ones plus how many ones? 9 ones. Great job, because I can look and I know that I say 19. 10, 9. Say 10 way. 10 ones plus 9 ones equals 19. All right, we're going to go to 16. What will go in this first spot right here? 10 ones. Great job. 10 ones plus, how many ones will go here? 6 ones equals 16. Great job. And let's finish with our 15. All right, do you think you can say what goes in each spot? Great, 10 ones plus 5 ones equals 15. Great job. So we have our addition number sentences for our teen numbers. Great job. We are going to go to our next slide and begin our lesson for today. All right, so we have a little challenge here. I am going to read the problem here, and then we are going to solve it together. This is what it says. Lisa has 5 pennies in her hand and 2 pennies in her pocket. Matt has 6 pennies in his hand and 2 pennies in his pocket. Who has fewer pennies? I'm going to look for some key words in this problem. I see the word fewer. I need to know what fewer means. What does the word fewer mean? Good. Fewer means less. Who has fewer pennies? Who has the least amount of pennies? So that's what we need to figure out. Not who has more pennies, but who has fewer pennies. Less pennies than the other friend. So fewer is one keyword. I'm going to underline my numbers. 5 pennies in her hand and 2 pennies in her pocket. Matt has 6 pennies in his hand and 2 pennies in his pocket. Okay, do you think, how are we going to start this problem? How can we go about solving this? Good, we can figure out how many pennies they have all together, each of them. So these circles I have here are my pennies. These circles are how many pennies are in her hand, and these are how many pennies are in her pocket. This is how many pennies Matt has in his hand. This is how many Matt has in his pocket. So let's go ahead and start by counting up how many pennies they each have. So let's start with Lisa. Count with me the number of pennies she has all together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Lisa has 7 pennies all together. Let's go ahead and count how many Matt has all together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Matt has 8 pennies altogether. All right, who has fewer pennies? Does Lisa have fewer pennies or does Matt have fewer pennies? Great job, Lisa has fewer pennies. How do we know that Lisa has fewer pennies? Good, because 7 is less than 8. 7 is a smaller number than 8. 7 is less than 8. So that's how we know that Lisa has fewer pennies. Who has more pennies? Matt would have more pennies because 8 is a bigger number than 7. So our answer is Lisa because Lisa has 7 pennies. Great job. So today we are working on what has fewer or more. We're comparing our teen numbers. So our goal is to figure out, does part 1 have more pennies or does part 2 have more pennies? And we will be doing that with 10 ones and some ones for our teen numbers. Okay, so our goal for these problems are to figure out which one has more. I want to know what part has more. Does part 1 have more pennies or does part 2 have more pennies? How can I go about solving this problem? Great, I can count up each part. That's a great idea. So how am I going to count up each part? Great, count my arrays. Remember, this is counting in array configuration because they are put out together and opposed from our circular configuration when they would be in a circle. So let's go ahead and count part 1 and see how many pennies I have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 pennies. I know I have 15 pennies in my first part. How do we say 15 in the say 10 way? Great job, 10 and 5. And remind me, why do I say it in the say 10 way? To show how my numbers are broken up. So this means I have 10 ones and 5 ones. You see down here, this says 10 ones and 5 ones. 10 ones and 5 ones. Let's go ahead and count my second part to see how many pennies I have here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So I have 13 pennies. How do I say 13 in the say 10 way? 10, 3. That is showing how we can break up 13. So 13, that means 10 ones and 3 ones. Make sure we're always saying 10 ones first, and then how many ones left over. 10 ones and 3 ones. Okay, now I need to compare my two numbers. I need to figure out which one has more. Does part 1 have more pennies, or does part 2 have more pennies? We will do that by looking at our numbers down here, 10 ones and 5 ones. I know that they both have 10 ones. It both says that they have 10 ones. So does that mean that they're the same? Does that mean that they have the same number? No, great job, because now we want to look at these number of ones. We saw that the 10 ones, they were the same, but now we go to the next number, 5 and 3. So what do I need to do with 5 and 3 if I want to compare those two numbers? I want to see which one is more, which one is greater. So I want to figure out which part has more. So is 5 a larger number, or is 3 a larger number? 5. 5 is greater than 3. 5 is greater than 3. So if I know that 5 is greater than 3, does part 1 have more pennies, or does part 2 have more pennies? Part number 1 has more pennies because 5 is greater than 3. Say that with me. 5 is greater than 3. Great job. So I know 15 is greater than 13. Part 1 has 15 pennies and part 2 has 13 pennies. 15 is more than 13. Great job, guys. So we are comparing these two parts by looking at our first part of 10 ones and then our second part of how many ones are next. We will see if this number is greater or if this number is greater. So we saw that part 1 has more pennies. Great job. All right, we have another problem here. For this problem, I would like you to figure out if part 1 has more pennies or if part 2 has more pennies. Take a few minutes, pause this video, figure out if part 1 has more pennies or if part 2 has more pennies. I also want you to figure out how you say when you figure out how many pennies are in each. Say that number in the say 10 way. So make sure you know the say 10 way for each number. Go ahead and take a few minutes and figure out, does part 1 have more pennies or does part 2 have more pennies? Go ahead. All right, great job, guys. We're going to solve this problem together. So let's see how if part 1 has more pennies or if part 2 has more pennies. I have in a different color. My pink is all of my 10 ones. So my pink, I have 10 ones already shown. So that means the orange color is the extra ones after. I can figure it out just by looking at my extra ones too. If I know that both 1 and 2 have 10 pink pennies, 10 pink pennies here, 10 pink pennies here, I can just look at my extra ones and see which one has more. So let's go ahead and count our orange pennies. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I know 4 ones. We already have 10 ones and 4 ones because 1, 2, 3, 4 ones. I know we already have 10 ones here because all of my pink ones are 10 ones. All right, how many extra ones do I have? Just one. 1, 1. Write that here. So we have 10 ones and 1 1, 10 ones and 4 ones. So now I need to figure out which part has more. All right, shout out the number. Does part 1 have more or does part 2 have more? Good job. Part 1 has more because I am looking at my second part, 4 and 1. Is 4 greater than 1? Yes, it is. 4 ones is greater than 1 1. So I know 14 is greater than, what number would this be in our teen numbers? 11. Great job. 14 is greater than 11. Say that with me. 14 is greater than 11. 14 had more, part 1 had more pennies than part 2. Great job, guys. So we are comparing our teen numbers. We wanted to see which groups had more or which groups had less. We are going to hop on over to our problem set for today. You will complete lesson 22 problem set. Make sure it says K5 up in this top corner. It says circle 10 erasers. 10 erasers here. Circle 10 pencils. Match the extra ones to see which group has more. Check the group that has more things. So let's do this first one together, and then you will complete the rest on your own. All right, it's asking me to circle 10 erasers. So let's go ahead and count our 10 erasers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I can go ahead and circle 10 erasers. All right, circle 10 pencils. Let's count these pencils. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 pencils. I can circle my 10 pencils. Match the extra ones to see which group has more. Okay, so I have the extra erasers and extra pencils here. What we can do is count up how many erasers and how many pencils to see which one has more. How many erasers do we have extra? 2. And how many pencils are extra? 3. So if we know 2 here and 3 here, are there more erasers or are there more pencils? Great job, there are more pencils because 3 is a greater number than 2. 3 is a greater number than 2. So I know I have more pencils than erasers. So I put a check next to my pencils. Great job, guys. So you will complete the rest of these problems. Remember, let's scroll down through. You'll complete the sandwiches and the milk, the shells. You only have to complete this first page. But if you can complete the second page, and that will be extra practice. Go ahead, complete this and upload this to your portfolio page, and I will see everyone for our lesson tomorrow.